Hi there, my name is Bruce Penson from ProDrive, and today we have a short video for you on multi-factor authentication and why it's so critical to your IT security. And we're going to also give you a short introduction to multi-factor authentication, why it's so important, along with a demonstration of how to set it up. So what is multi-factor authentication? Well, if you've ever logged on to any online banking, you've probably used multi-factor authentication before. This could be a simple code generation key, which looks a bit like a calculator. Perhaps it's just a text message to confirm, but essentially it's a second way of verifying that it's you, other than the password that you enter. So most internet-based IT systems do now have the option of activating multi-factor authentication. Might not be turned on by default. It usually works by sending either a text message or more commonly now, an app on your phone to generate the code. So why is multi-factor authentication so important? Well, quite simply, it's because passwords on their own are not secure. So cybercriminals have actually become very efficient at stealing our passwords. And once they have them, they can wreak havoc with your IT systems, which can often end up your business reputation being damaged, could be fined, or worse, even money being stolen. So let me explain two of the most common techniques that cybercriminals use to do this. So the first one is attacking service providers. Now that could be someone who has an application, such as Microsoft or Google, or it can be someone who runs a website that you have a username and password for. So you've probably seen a lot of reports in the press of common breaches involving IT systems of big businesses. So I've put EasyJet on here. I'm not actually sure passwords were breached in that particular hack, but there was another one with House, which is a home improvement website that definitely did have passwords stolen. So why do they do this? Well, passwords are actually really valuable. The cybercriminals are obviously after information on the websites themselves. So credit card information, that kind of thing is obviously useful to them, but passwords are valuable as well. So within minutes of them being stolen from a website, there's a good chance that they're going to be for sale on the online black market, which is known as the dark web. But this isn't really to access the system that they were stolen from. The reason these passwords are so valuable and so useful is that most people use the same password for lots of different online accounts, perhaps all their online accounts. So there's a really good chance that the combination of the email address, which you log in with, and the password, which has been stolen, will work on many other websites other than the one it's stolen from. So if you think about it, if let's say, for instance, you had an account on this House website, you use your email address, perhaps use your business email address to log in, and you have the same password for other web-based accounts, some of your business accounts, there's a very good chance then that the cybercriminals will be able to use that information to get into your business account. So if you had that combination for your Office 365 account, say, you've just handed over the keys to the criminals, and they'll be in quickly into that account, as you'll see in a minute. So the second technique is something called phishing, which no doubt you've heard of. There's been a lot of proliferation of phishing, particularly over the last 6 months. And I suspect most of you would recognize a phishing email. There's one on the screen here, if you saw one. Now, some of these phishing emails are quite easy to spot, and you'll probably think, no, I'm never going to fall for those. But actually, they can easily be mistaken by someone who's extremely busy. You know, they've got lots of emails coming through, they haven't got time to read them properly. And in actual fact, some of them now are getting quite clever, and some of them imitating a lot of commonly used email notifications like Microsoft ones. So you see one on the screen here, particularly the login screen you get taken to looks very realistic, but actually that's a scam login. And tens of thousands of people fall for this every day. So it is very effective, and cybercriminals continue to do it. So there's a very good chance that once they steal your password through one of these phishing scams, that they'll be on your online business accounts within minutes. And they'll probably put the details for sale on the dark web as well. So what happens then when your email gets stolen? Well, it's usually one of a couple of things. So the most common breach, and this is the one I've referred to on the screen here, is with Microsoft Office 365. Lots and lots of businesses have it. A very high percentage of them have it. Your email address is always the log on, and there's always one address to log on, no matter what business it is. So it's a really good point for a cyber criminal to try to get in with stolen username and password. And also they can do a lot of damage from here and make a lot of money from it. So usually a couple of things will happen if someone gets into your Office 365 account through this type of attack. The first one is really designed by cyber criminals to make money for themselves. So what happens is they get into your account, they will look through the account, and if you're the type of person that sends instructions to people to make payments, then they will find one of those emails, they'll mimic it, they'll mimic the invoice that's attached to it that you're asking to be paid, and they'll create a new invoice with some of their own bank account details on, so for a criminal bank account. And they'll send that invoice out to the people you normally send them out to get paid, and then if you're unlucky, someone will not realize it. They will look pretty convincing because it will look like the emails come from you. It's come from your email account. They might make the payment into the criminal bank account, and then unfortunately you've lost the money. It's also quite unlikely you'll be able to claim that back from the bank as well. The second type of attack, if you're not one of these people who sends invoices for payment, what they'll often do is use your account to send out malware to people in your address book. So there's a much higher chance that those people will, their email security will not capture the malicious emails being sent out, because they'll be sent from a trusted email address. And obviously they may not pay due diligence to it because they know the person it's coming from, and they'll be looking really to either attack those people in your address book with phishing scams, perhaps send malware to them to get malware on the computers, that kind of thing. In either of these cases, they will also set up rules in your Outlook to cover up the activity in there. So it may be some time before you realize your account is breached. You probably won't see it. So in both cases as well, multi-factor authentication, even if the criminals have your username and password, they would not be able to get in because they would not have the third level of authentication, which is the app on your phone or a text message to your phone. So the obvious challenge of multi-factor authentication, it's an extra step to log in. And does that mean it takes longer? Well, ultimately, yes, but not by a lot. You usually only need to do this a maximum once a day. It might take you a few seconds longer to log in, but is that really worth, not having to do that with the consequences that we've just spoken about? It's a very small amount of additional time. Additionally, if you have cyber insurance, you may find you're obliged to have multi-factor authentication switched on. And in actual fact, there's also maybe some requirements from some of your clients as well required to be switched on. There are some ways of reducing the amount of time it takes to use this. With Microsoft, they have the option to use biometrics, so either fingerprints or facial recognition. And in actual fact, you can avoid having to put a password in at all if you use those features. So that potentially could even save time over having a password. In larger organizations, they use something called single sign-on. So this is where a single username and password can give access to multiple business accounts. So you only need to do your multi-factor authentication once at the beginning of the day for all your business accounts. So if you want to talk to us about some of these simple measures, here are our contact details. And what I'm going to do now is hand over to my colleague Ivan, who's going to give you a live demonstration of how easy it is to set up multi-factor authentication. Thank you very much.
So the other day, my mother-in-law tells me, I have a PayPal account, which I never use. Should I do something about it? I'm concerned. Can someone just hack into it and maybe steal my money? Hi, my name is Ivan. I am part of the team at ProDrive IT, and I want to offer you some advice, the same advice I offered my mother-in-law. Yes, it is important that you keep your accounts safe, especially if they have information that is sensitive or even access to money. Let me show you how. So if you go to auth3.com, you will find that what they provide is a extra layer of security for your accounts. And if you have an account, say with PayPal, and if you type the name there, PayPal, you will find a set of instructions on how to enable this extra layer of security called 2FA. So 2FA, two-factor authentication, basically allows you to have a second layer beyond your password of protection when you log in. So the first layer is the password, something you have to know. The second layer is, for example, your phone. A text is sent to your phone and you have to get the number from your phone onto the website to be able to log in. So you have to have your phone on you. So it makes it much harder for someone to log into your account, because not only do they have to steal your password, they have to steal your phone as well. So here you go. Here are the instructions. All you need to do is follow along step by step as it shows you here. Very straightforward. And it tells you exactly how to get this second layer of authentication set up for your PayPal account. But maybe you might say, well, I don't have a PayPal account. I have an iPhone. Okay, well, make sure your your Apple Pay or your Apple ID has this 2FA enabled, because you don't want people to be using your Apple Pay, especially, or any of your details in your Apple ID. You might say, I'm not an Apple user, I'm an Android user. No worries. Just make sure you have your Google account protected. That will include Gmail and general Google services such as Google Pay. Again, you don't want people to be paying stuff with your phone, with your money, or with your account details. Maybe you also are an Amazon shopper. Well, make sure you go to your Amazon account and enable 2FA, because you don't want people to be buying things on your behalf and with your money. You need to make sure your accounts are safe so that you don't get hacked. So I hope you found that useful, and I hope you can give us a like, share, visit our website, get in touch. Either way, stay safe.